Okay, so everybody's at this screen. This is the online version of SketchUp that we're going to begin with. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and click where it says Create New. Don't click there. Click on the drop down for a second. And in the drop down, it gives you different templates to use. And we're going to use architectural feet and inches. So go ahead and click on that. As soon as you do that, it might take a second or two, and we'll see this screen here. This is the SketchUp interface, the online version. The desktop version looks similar to this. And we'll talk about that later. But for now, we're in our um, online web-based version. They work the same way. Same concepts, everything is going to be the same. So whatever I show you here is applicable on the desktop version. So for starters, you're seeing on the screen three lines. You see a red line, a green line, and a blue one. I'm not pointing to it only because I don't like moving the mouse around a lot, so you can see them. There's also a figure there, and SketchUp drops in that figure just to give us a nice sense of scale so that we know where we are in this space. The red axis, the red line there is the red axis, and it is showing us the positive X direction. Green line is our y-axis, and the blue line is our z-axis. So whenever we model in SketchUp and any other program really, we're modeling in this 3D space where it has an x, a y, and a z-axis. SketchUp doesn't refer to them as X, Y, Z. They refer to them as red, green, blue. Get used to that because you're going to see the same color coding in other programs. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it, and I will give you an overview, but I want you to practice using the software, and then we'll practice modeling some things. So for starters, right where we are at this point, I want you to practice drawing a line. So to do that, you come over to the menu on the left-hand side, and there's an icon right here. And if I hover over it, it tells me that's my line icon, and then in parentheses, L, which means that I could type in L or I can click on the icon. For now, I'll click on it. When I click on it, you see how my cursor changes. It's now a pencil. And what I'd like you to do is just go ahead and pick a point anywhere on the screen and give it one click. Do not click and drag. You have to click and then move the cursor and you'll see what will happen. So one click, I'm not dragging it, I'm just moving it around. And you can see. And as I move it, you notice how if I'm parallel to the red axis, it tells me it's on red axis. So it's going to draw a straight line along X or red. If I move it in this direction, it tells me that it wants to draw or be on the green axis, parallel to it. And if I take it up, it tells me that now it is on blue axis. So it's going up in the Z direction here. I just basically want you to draw a line. It doesn't matter where it goes. If it locks into red or green or blue, it doesn't matter. I just want you to draw a line and get a feel for it. So give it one click now again, and that's one line. And you'll notice how it just wants to stay in here and continue drawing lines. But we're going to stop. And the way to do that is just simply tap the escape key, and it takes you out. But we're still in this line mode. So what we want to do is we want to come back to the arrow, our selection tool. And to do that, you just simply click on the selection here, but it also says you can tap the space bar, and we'll do that later. But for now, click on select. When you click on select, you notice we're back, we drew a line, and that's all there is. But I want you to get comfortable with that. All right. Now, that was just a practice line. Let's go ahead and erase it. So to erase it, there's an eraser here. And I haven't used this version in a little bit, so I always get my icons a little mixed up, but the eraser is right here. So eraser, E, and that would be my keyboard shortcut. So just click on the eraser, and that's what the eraser looks like a white vinyl eraser. And all you have to do is click on it or just click and drag across. So if I click and drag across, notice how it turns blue. And then I release my mouse and the line is now erased. All right. Now, I want to go back to my selection tool. So instead of going all the way over there to my icons, I'm just going to tap the space bar like that. All set. Okay. Next, we're going to draw a line again, only this time I want to show you how we can constrain it to the axes. So type L. By typing L, takes you right into that line command, and go ahead and click anywhere on the screen. I'm going to click right here. And then what I'd like you to do is move the cursor around. Just, feel free with that. But now, I want you to tap the right arrow key on your keyboard. Right arrow key will constrain it to the red axis. In my mind, when I think of the red axis and I think of right arrow key, both of them start with the letter R. So that's my mnemonic I go by. So right arrow key on my keyboard for red axis. So it doesn't matter where I move my cursor, it's just constrained to red. If I wanted to unconstrain it, I tap the right arrow key again, and we're back unconstrained. But if I want it now to follow the green axis, I'm going to use my up arrow. Sorry, my left arrow. That's on me. Left arrow. I'm going to use the left arrow, and the left arrow now will constrain it to the green axis. I haven't finished drawing the line. I'm just showing you, how this works. To unconstrain, tap the left arrow key again. And now, to make it go straight up and follow the blue axis, that would be the up arrow. So now that constrains it in the up direction. And then tap again, the up arrow key, and it unlocks it. And now I can go ahead and draw freely. And you'll notice that when it sees that I'm close to or matching that axis, it's going to give it to me in the red axis. And I know that it will lock in. So go ahead and try the following. Click right now, have it follow the red axis, and just click. And now have it follow the green axis. And I know, notice how it looks a little strange. It doesn't seem to be parallel, but because we're in a perspective view, it wants to go back to that very far off point in space. And that's okay. As long as it says it's following green, just go ahead and give it a click. And then go ahead and just come over here to this endpoint and give that endpoint a click. And what we've done right there is we've taken 3 lines or 3 edges, and by making them all touch, the endpoints touch, we have created a surface. And SketchUp needs surfaces in order to generate a model. So from here, I'm going to jump ahead, and I'm now going to make a model of this. To do that, I'm going to show you the icon, and it's this one right here. It's called the push pull. Keyboard shortcut is P. So click on that. When you click on it, you come over, hover, 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 and you notice how it shades it in a little bit to let me know that it's detected that surface. If I move off of it, it goes back to being gray. Hover over it, it gets shaded. And all I want you to do is give this one click, and then move it up any height you want. And I'm going to stop mine right here and give it a click. So just like that, I've created a 3D shape based on a triangle that I drew on the red-green plane, or as I like to think about it, the XY plane. So what I'd like to do now is go back to my selection tool. So I'm just going to tap the space bar. So tap, hang on a second. I lost focus on my screen. So I'll click here again and then space bar. There we go. All right. So this is my shape. Now, something that is very, very important to your success using SketchUp. and that is groups. I need you to understand this concept and apply it immediately. So what we need to do is, now that we've created this object, you'll notice how all of these are independent, if you will, separate surfaces, separate edges. There's even points here that I can pick, but I don't want to pick them individually. I've created this solid and I want it to act as a group. So to do that, you have to triple click any one of the faces or any one of the edges. And a triple click, can't explain it, but I'll try to use my hands. I'll clap, right? So a single click sounds like this. A double click, we're all familiar with, sounds like this. A triple click sounds like this. Very fast. It has to be 3 clicks. It cannot be slow. It has to be quick. So again, triple click like that. So I'm going to come over here to this face and I'm going to triple click it. That's 3 clicks. And you'll notice how it highlights everything. It's identifying all of the edges, all of the surfaces that are in touch with one another. So it identified this. Once you do that, you will then right click without moving your mouse. Just right click on right where you are. When you do the right click, you get a pop-up menu here, and you're going to select the option that says make group. So go ahead and make a group. Just click on it. And you now have a group of edges and surfaces. They have become an object. So go ahead and click off of it. And now if I click on any one of the surfaces or any one of the edges, it will pick the entire group. That's what you want. Key to successful architectural modeling in SketchUp is the concept of groups. Please always use them. If you don't, you're going to get some very erratic results, and it'll cause stress, it'll cause anxiety, some frustration also, and I don't want that to happen to you. Okay. The reason I had us create just this very simple shape is because the next thing I want to show you is how to navigate, how to orbit about SketchUp. Right now, my view is set right here to, let's call it a front view, but I'd like to move around. So to do that, I do have icons over here. This one says orbit, this one says pan, but I do things a little different. I'm going to use my mouse, and I want you to get comfortable using your mouse also. So on your mouse, all of you have a wheel in the middle. So what I'm going to do is just put my cursor right here, and I'm just going to move my wheel mouse. I'm going to roll it up. And as I roll it up, it will zoom me in to my object. If I roll it down, it will zoom me out. So get comfortable with that, zooming in, zooming out. So next thing is, how do I orbit about my model? Well, what you do is, instead of rolling up or down, you take that wheel mouse and you click and drag it. And when you click and drag, it allows you to orbit about your model. And all far away in the distance there is my horizon line. So if I stop orbiting right about there, and I put that horizon line to come across right where the eyes would be on the face of this figure, I could say I'm pretty much at eye level here. I'm going to orbit again. So I'm just going to click and drag. And this time I'm going to bring it up. And I'm basically just going to orbit around my object. And it's gonna get a little bit close here. And that's all right. I'm just going to continue to orbit all the way around like this. And you'll notice that you'll have to click and drag, stop, bring your cursor back, click and drag again. And that's all right. That's how we do it in SketchUp. Okay. All right. So we are able to zoom in and zoom out. We're able to orbit. Then the other option here is being able to pan about my model. So to pan, it's the same thing. You're still going to going to hold down the wheel mouse, but you're going to hold down the shift key when you do this. So I'm pressing my shift key, and then I'm going to click and drag my wheel mouse. And that allows me to pan. I'm still holding down the shift, still holding down my mouse. Now I've released both, and I'll do it again. I'll hold down shift and then click and drag my wheel mouse. Allows me to pan. So now I would like to combine these movements so that I can orbit around my model, but then also pan. So here we go. I'm going to orbit first, like this, go around in orbit. And now what I'd like to do is hold down the shift key and place, or rather not place, but pan my view so that my object is in the middle of the screen. And then I release the shift key and the wheel mouse, and then I go back and I use the wheel mouse to allow me to orbit. I'll hold down the shift key again, click and drag my wheel mouse so I can put it in the center of my screen, release both, and then click and drag my wheel mouse again. And maybe I want to zoom out a little bit more, a lot more, and then try to orbit again. And then hold down the shift key and pan. Now you could try to orbit and then hold down or tap the shift key, and that works too. But I have this common practice of holding down shift first and then clicking and dragging because, that's just how I do things. I've gotten accustomed to that. Okay. So we have our model. We were able to orbit. Next thing, let's go ahead and take this object right there, and notice how I can highlight it, and let's just move it out of the way. And I'm doing this just to show you how to use this move command. So it's this icon right over here. Keyboard shortcut is M. So you'll notice I have my object highlighted, my group. And because it's highlighted, as soon as I click on move, it assumes that's what I want to move. And I can click anywhere on the screen, but sometimes I prefer to just click on a corner here, for example. You can click on it and then just move it over. And notice I can have it constrained to the red axis, or I can just move it over in this direction, unconstrained. It doesn't matter. But know that it is moving along the XY plane. It's not moving up at all. If you want to constrain it, you can always use your right arrow key. That'll constrain it to red. Or you can use your left arrow key. That'll constrain it to green. But I'm just going to bring it out of the way. Just be mindful. Make sure that it doesn't move up on you, because it sometimes can do that. But I'm looking at mine and it's fine. So I'm just going to click right over here and just leave it there on the side for now. And then I'm going to tap my space bar to come back to my selection tool. Okay, so that was generating a free form. We weren't really focused on the exactness of it, but now we are going to do that. So let's move on to the next practice here. I'm going to click on this icon, which draws or helps me to draw a rectangle. So I'm going to click on rectangle, and R is the keyboard shortcut. So I click on rectangle. And then what I'd like to do is I'd like to start drawing a rectangle right here from this point. And you see, if I hover there, it tells me that's my origin. That is exactly where my green, red, and blue axes meet. And that's basically my start point, my 0, 0, 0. For those of you that have taken geometry and trigonometry, you'll understand what I mean. But I want to start at that origin. So I'm going to give it one click. And that's all you need to do, one click. And then I'm going to start to bring it out. And you'll notice, first of all, it's showing me a blue rectangle. And the reason for that is because it's going to extrude along blue. That's my visual cue. That means it's laying flat along my red and green axis. So just letting you know, that's the reason for the color. The next thing I want you to notice is down in the lower right-hand corner, it says dimensions, and it's giving me dimensions. And if you look at that carefully, it's showing me a value of 16 feet, 4 and 7/16 of an inch. And then there's a comma, and it's followed by 19 feet, 1 inch. What that basically means is that I am drawing along the red and green axis, but which one is which? Here's how you can tell. Bring your rectangle in a little bit, and you'll notice how that second dimension changed quite a bit, got smaller. Now, if I keep coming along the red axis, that increases. So what it's telling me here is that I can enter coordinates of how big I want this rectangle, and I have to enter the red coordinate first, followed by the green coordinate. So let's say I want to make a rectangle that is 20 feet by 5 feet. Let's give that a try. So go ahead and type in 20 feet, and the feet is the apostrophe. And then you put a comma, and then you enter 5 feet. And by the way, if you don't enter feet, it's going to make it 20 inches by 5 inches. It's going to be a very small rectangle. So you want to undo and start over. So 20 feet, comma, 5 feet, and then just enter. When you do that, it gives you a rectangle with those exact dimensions. If you're
I
not sure.
Sorry, I have a question. How are you able to type in the dimension bar with the rectangle tool selected? That's
All
not my,
right.
yeah.
Okay, I'll do that one more time.
Mhm.
That's a good question. So I'm going to start again right here. I go ahead and click on origin. And as I move my cursor, I'm just moving it. And you don't need to do anything. You just start typing and you type in 20. And as soon as I do that, it starts to populate the text box.
Oh,
So
got
20
it.
feet, comma, 5 feet. Yeah, it's unusual. I know that a lot of us are used to, or we think we need to click into that box. You don't need to do that here. So 20 feet, comma, 5 feet, enter. Done. And I appreciate you asking. So in architecture, we do need to be precise in this regard. And this is how we do it. So I've now generated that shape. Now I would like to push pull it and give it an exact height. So I know the keyboard shortcut for push pull is P. So I'm going to type in P and my keyboard or my icon changes to this one. So I'm just going to hover right over my rectangle, click on it one time, and then move it up. And then I want this to be 10 feet tall. So as I'm moving it, I'm just going to stop right there. And I'm going to type in 10 feet. Just on your keyboard, type it and then enter. And you now have a shape that is 20 feet long, 5 feet deep, 10 feet high. I'm doing this on purpose just to show you how you can be precise. Okay. Now I'm going to tap my spacebar so I can go back to my selection tool. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to orbit just to take a good look at this shape. Okay. And then triple click it. So 1, 2, 3 clicks. Highlights everything. And then right click, make group. Done. I'm going to show you what happens if you don't make a group. Okay. Now that we've made the group, I'm just going to pan over here for a second. I'm going to do this real quick. I'll draw a rectangle similar to the one we made there. And then I'm going to push pull it about that high. And then I'm going to draw that same shape similar to what I have over here. So I'm going to draw some lines. I'm going to have that shape kind of intersect They'll start here, go in this direction. I'm going to orbit so I can see where I am, this direction, and then go at an angle. And then I'm going to push pull this, and I'll make it about that high. Now, let's say I want to take my rectangular shape and move it away from my triangular shape. Well, I'll go back to my selection tool, and now if I triple click, it picks everything. They have now become united. If I try to maybe just pick the rectangle like this, well, I can't really just pick that one because those lines are connected. And if I look at the bottom, they're connected. And if I want to move it, I'll just click on move. Notice what it does. It starts dragging the other faces with it. So it's problematic. So that's what I want you to avoid. And that's why every time you make your objects, and by the way, I'm just highlighting this and I'm going to tap the delete key, make it go away. Anytime you make objects, always group them. So now watch this. I'll take this solid over here. I'm going to move it from this endpoint over here and notice how they can intersect. See that? But they're not going to interfere with one another. I can take this rectangle and move that. And they're just kind of overlapping each other. So please always make groups. Very helpful to do that. Okay. The next thing I want to show you, I'm going to select this and I'm just going to type M for move. And I'm going to pick it from here and just move it right over there. And then I'll go back to my selection tool. I'll tap the space bar. All right. The next thing I want to show you is how to edit a group, how to make changes to it. So once I have this group here, what I need to do is I need to double click to edit the group. So give it a double click. And when you double click, you'll notice everything else grays out. The focus turns to just this group. And I have what I refer to as this bounding box. It's showing me the limits of my group of objects. And I'm now editing that group. So if I decide that I want to add to it or subtract, this is how it happens. So I'll show you this because this is fun. I'll come over here to this side and I'm going to draw a line. So I'll just type L. That's my keyboard shortcut. And I'll draw a line from the midpoint here up to the midpoint there. And then I'm going to type P, push pull. Now I'm going to take this face, click on it, and pull it out. Doesn't matter how far I go. But if you want to be exact, go ahead. Let's say I'm pulling it out 5 feet. So I'll type in 5 feet, enter. And notice how my box expands because I now have made some changes there. And now if you really want to have some fun here, draw another line, this time from this endpoint over to the opposite endpoint. And then P for push pull this out. And this time I'll just bring it out about that far. I'm not going to be exact. I'm just clicking here. I've made that change. Now, here's where it continues to um, be exciting here. Watch what I'm going to do. And all of you can follow along with me. I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to draw that rectangle right on this face. And notice how that rectangle, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Notice how it's changed to a color green. That's because it's going to exist, or I'm going to be able to press pull it along the green axis. So I'm going to draw a rectangle from this corner right here, and it says on edge. I'll take it. I just want to make opening about that big, enough for that figure to be able to walk through. So I'm going to click on it. Notice how I was not exact. And that's not the point here. Just showing you what you can do. And then the next thing I'm going to do is type P so that I can push pull this. And I know that I want it to go all the way to the opposite end. So I'm going to click and push it back and keep pushing it back, keep going. You may need to orbit a little bit, but as soon as it tells me on face, that means it's on the other face, on the opposite side. So watch, I'll bring it back and then I keep going towards the face. And then I see that it says on face and it actually stops right there on that face. And go ahead and click. And when you do that, it opens it up, which is really nice. Have a little fun. Go ahead and practice drawing a circle on the surface. And to draw the circle, it's this icon down here. Keyboard shortcut C. So I click on the circle. And I'm just going to draw a circle anywhere here. And by the way, before I even draw it, you'll notice in the right-hand corner, it says size 24. One thing you need to know about SketchUp is that it does not draw perfect circles. They're segments. So this is letting me know that when I draw this circular shape, it's going to contain 24 line segments. And those 24 line segments make up what appears to be a circle. You'll see in just a moment. So I'm going to click and then just bring it out. It doesn't matter how big, we're just practicing here. You give that a click. When you do that, you now have that surface, and then I'm going to type P, press pull, click on it, and then push it all the way back. Now, you'll notice it's giving me an error message, and that's all right. It'll happen every now and then. I may have clicked a little too fast, so I will go ahead and undo, and there we go. Now I'm okay. So I'll go ahead and click on it, and notice how I can actually bring it forward if I wanted to, but I'd like to move it back. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to orbit all the way to the other side while I'm still holding that down and then keep bringing it over. And now it's going to find that surface and I can push it past, but I don't want to do that. I want it to be right on this surface. So when it tells me on face, I click and then I come over here. This time I have to hold down the shift key because I need to pan. Now I can release the shift and still orbit. Hold down the shift, pan it over, release the shift, and then orbit. And there we go. And here, let me zoom in real quick. First of all, let me type the space bar to get back to my selection tool. And you'll see that circle is actually made up of these segments. Okay. And I'm going to zoom out. All right. I did all that while in my group. How do I get out of my group? Well, I can just tap the escape key and 1 second because my focus came away from my screen. So let me just click here. All right, tap the escape key, takes you out of the group. Another way to come out of the group, if you're inside of it, so I'll go back in, is simply just to click anywhere outside of the boundary of that group. So if I just click out here, it takes me out as well. So either is going to work fine. So there's my group. Very nice object. Good practice. So this is what I want you to get comfortable with is just generating any kind of shape that you want. And there's a lot more that we can do. This is just me introducing SketchUp to all of you so that you're comfortable using it and we can begin generating our models. 1 second. Okay, so question that came up when I paused the recording, what happens here? Do I always have to end up regrouping? And the answer is no, because once I have this as a group, I just double click into it like this. And let's say, for example, I'm going to draw another line right here, for example, this midpoint, and I'll take it straight up. And then I'll go ahead and type P for press pull. And I'm going to take this surface and bring it out in this direction like this. As soon as I do that, notice how the boundary of my group changes. It's part of the group now. So when I'm done, I'll go ahead and use my spacebar and then click outside of it. There's my group. I just went ahead and edited my group. So thank you for that question. It's all in one, which is really nice. Um, and again, you'll see when we start modeling, very, very helpful to do all of that. Okay, what we did right now was just simple practice. You are more than welcome to save this. In fact, here, because you may want to come back and look at this maybe when the semester's over, in another few months. Go ahead and give it a name. So right up here where it says Untitled, you just click on that. And it says Save to Projects, and just go into your SketchUp projects. And then I have a few in here that I've done over the years. So down here where it says name, you notice first initial last name. Let's keep that practice going. So first initial last name. And then we'll just call this one test. That's all it is, just a test. And then we'll go ahead and click on save here. And the file name will change in just a moment. There we go. So I have it saved, and this is in the SketchUp cloud. I'll show you later how you will bring this over to Google Drive, but it's fine being right here for now. But that's my intro to SketchUp, and now I'm just going to kind of pan around, take a look at it, you know, have a little fun with that. Okay.